Hello, I am Gaurav and I'm starting this course on JavaScript and I have so this is the introduction video of this series, and in this video I want to talk about how the playlist is going to be structured. So the whole thing is divided into four phases. So first phase is the basic introduction about the JavaScript and your expectation. So this is going to be for absolute beginners. We'll be talking about code and we'll be talking about theory as well. Another thing after that is we'll discuss what is JavaScript, and we'll discuss the definition and we'll discuss how it works, how it executes. Then we'll write our first line of JavaScript code. Once that is done, then we'll move on to the things like variables and data types. So we'll discuss all three types of variables like var, lat, const, and we'll discuss all type of data types. We'll discuss number, string, boolean, null, undefined, and others. We'll discuss how these data types are handled on memory level, like how, like we'll discuss how they are passed. uh, then we'll discuss the operators in the JavaScript, basic operators like arithmetic operators. We'll discuss comparison operators. We'll discuss logical operators, and we'll discuss bitwise operators, and we'll discuss truthy and falsy values. What are those and how we use them? Then we'll move on to the control flow. Control flow will be discussing a few things. We'll discuss things like if else statements, and we'll discuss switch statements, we'll discuss ternary operators, and we'll discuss nullish coalescing. All these will basically, these are flow that just determines like what should happen on what conditions, right? Then we'll move on to looping, and we'll discuss three types of loop: for loop, while loop, and do while loop. And we'll discuss this break and continue keywords that we use. Then after we have the basic understanding of loops, we'll move on to the functions. So in JavaScript, there's a lot of functions. We have function declaration, we have function expression, we have arrow functions, and we have parameters, arguments, and we have return values. So we'll discuss all these things. And then there is another thing in JavaScript which is called a function as a first class citizen, and we'll be going over it. We'll be discussing it in the details. After this, these practical things we have done, then we'll move on to some theoretical part like scope and execution context. So we'll discuss the theory of it. We'll discuss global scope, basically all kind of scopes that we have for global functions, and block scope. And in itself we'll be discussing things like hosting, lexical scoping, closures, and currying. Then when we have discussed these things, we'll move on to non-primitive data types such as arrays. We'll discuss how to create arrays, how we work with arrays, how we access elements from them, basically all the methods that we have on the arrays. And we'll discuss them. Then we'll see how they are like passed across functions. So these are reference value. Then we'll discuss objects, because in JavaScript almost everything is object. So we'll discuss object, what are those and what are their properties and how we can like work with them. And same thing, we'll discuss the references for it. Then we'll discuss something called prototypes in JavaScript, and we'll discuss oops in it as well. So here we have a few things such as constructor function, we have prototype chain, we have ES6 classes, we have this keyword which is often used. So we'll discuss this in this section in this video. Then we'll move on to the error handling, how we handle errors in JavaScript. Then we'll discuss synchronous and asynchronous behavior, basically asynchronous JavaScript. We'll discuss blocking and non-blocking concepts. We'll discuss callback pattern and callback hell, and what are those and what kind of problems those created. Then we'll discuss promises. So we'll discuss what are promises, what are the type of promise, and how we handle them. We will basically be discussing all different kind of promise methods that we have in JavaScript. We'll discuss chaining promises, we'll discuss error handling with async await, and we'll discuss sequential and parallel execution, which is going to happen in the promises itself. After this, we I think will have a good enough working knowledge of JavaScript itself. So we'll move on to the runtime thing. So like basically how JavaScript, what is the JavaScript engine, what is a call stack, what is a heap, what is a single threaded nature, and what is event loop, call stack. So all these things that we see like micro task queue, macro task queue, that are present in the browser, that makes the execution of JavaScript present in the browser. We'll discuss all these things. We'll do experiments on it, and then we'll discuss global objects. What are those? We'll discuss this. We'll discuss global this. We'll discuss global. We'll 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 come back on to the things like what are the different like environment we have different runtimes. We'll discuss those like Node.js browsers and others. So in the browser we'll discuss like in the browser environment we'll be doing things like window and document, window object and document object, where we'll discuss like what are the browser provided APIs. We'll work with like manipulating the DOM, like uh, how the content is updated on the screen on the browser. So we'll discuss all those things, that those come into the DOM manipulation. Then we'll discuss some of the browser APIs that are provided to us by the browser, like set timeout, set interval, fetch APIs. After we have discussed the browser as the environment, we'll move on to the Node.js. That is a JavaScript environment outside of the browser. So we'll discuss what is it. We'll go into its architecture. We'll discuss its internal. We'll go over definitions and everything, and then we'll move on to the core modules that we need to know in the Node.js, which are like file system modules, crypto modules. There are other modules as well as like HTTP module, URL module, and we have, so this will come under the creating a like a server. So we'll basically be creating a basic HTTP server using this Node.js modules. We'll be handling basic request and responses. Well, this will be coming to the HTTP server. And once we have created a basic HTTP server where you can call an endpoint and get a response back, then we'll move on to the proper backend development. And for that development, I'll be using Express, will using Ono, will be using Elysia, and will be using Nest.js. So I currently plan to make a playlist on all four of these in the, so this is my whole structure. This is my whole plan for the series. So thanks for watching.